All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host, Jake Ellenbogen. And guys, we've officially started our 2023 NFL Draft Prospect interviews here on the show. We love to do these every year. We always get really, really amazing guys on the show. And joining us right now, we have Jeremy Lucien, defensive back from the university or from Vanderbilt University. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm good. How about you guys?
We're doing well, man. We're going to kick it off, a little bit different, probably different than most interviews you've had, kind of an icebreaker here. Want to name three of your favorite, or three each. So your favorite TV show, your food, and a place in the world that either you want to visit or that you have been already.
You want three answers for each of those?
One answer for each.
Okay.
I just don't know how to talk.
So, all right. Favorite TV show? I've got to go with The Boondocks. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of that one.
I have.
Yeah, so yeah. It's hilarious. It's definitely one of my all-time favorites. Favorite food? So I'm half Jamaican on my mom's side. Oxtail is one of my favorite things to eat. I've probably eaten that maybe 4 times per week since I've been down here in Florida. That's probably something I could eat every single day if like for the rest of my life if I could. So yeah, definitely oxtail for that. Favorite place to go. So that's kind of tough because I've been all over the globe. So I guess I'll give you 2. So Spain, number 1, and then I was just in Mexico recently, about 9 months ago, for my graduation trip. Last spring. But yeah, I went down there with one of my roommates and his family. They invited me on their trip, so we went down to Cancun for a couple of days. So I definitely enjoyed my time down there. So yeah, I would definitely say those 2 places.
All great answers. We like to ask those questions just because we will take those recommendations to heart. I know Jake and I last year when we watched quite a bit of the shows that people were recommending. More, I know Jake really watched a lot of them too, but we do write them down because we just like recommendations. But now switching to football a little bit. So when was it that you started playing football?
So I started playing just after I turned 7. So I was born in New Jersey. My dad's side of the family, they all live in New York, in Brooklyn. When I was really little, I used to go and watch my older cousin play high school football every week. So I remember when I was really young, I told my parents, hey, I want to be like my older cousin. I want to be like Donovan. So can I play football? That was, just before I turned 7. So we moved to PA right before I turned 7. Started playing really young. I never played flag football. I went straight to tackle. But I've been playing since a really young age, like 16, 17 years. So it's been a while. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always great, talking to any sort of prospect. Everyone has a different kind of football story, football life or whatever. So, just getting a handle of, where it comes from. Right. And so with that said, everyone has like kind of an idol or a favorite player growing up. Did you have a specific favorite NFL player you had, looking up?
I'm a little bit of a weirdo. I never really had a specific player that I was in love with growing up. I didn't really start fully paying attention to people or like starting to pay attention to players more until around high school. So yeah, I guess my short answer would be no. I didn't have like a favorite player or really a favorite team growing up.
Oh, wow.
Did you have a favorite team once you started playing in college?
Whatever team I was playing for.
Yeah.
Oh, college or NFL?
Either. I guess NFL.
All right, for college, it was whatever team I was playing for. And then, still no. For NFL, like I never developed a favorite.
Yeah, it's probably best. Saved you a lot of heartbreak and
yeah.
whatnot, it builds character, but
yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I thought it was really fascinating. Before you went to college, you spent 3 months as an exchange student in Spain, during high school. What was that experience like? That is so that's so unique. I've actually never talked to anybody who's experienced that.
So yeah, definitely out of the ordinary. At first, I actually didn't even want to do it, but my mom and my high school football coach actually ended up pushing me into it. But the first week was really awkward because the host family spoke 0 English, so I had my little dictionary out for a lot of the like that first week and a half. Um, so it was a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of an adjustment, but it started to get a lot easier. What was nice was that the host family was used to getting exchange students because every year they would sign up to do it again. So they kind of like knew like all the ins and outs. They knew all the ropes, like how to deal with us. But they were super kind, super caring. I turned 16 over there because my birthday's in May. I was there from March until beginning of June. So yeah, I had my 16th birthday out there. So they actually ended up throwing me a birthday party in the mall. They invited a bunch of their extended family over. So it was a really cool experience. But I learned a lot. The culture, I didn't feel like I had left the States. It felt like I was still in the US, but just like in another area of the globe, because the food was really similar. The people's personalities are similar. A lot of the music was just like early 2000s pop songs on the radio. So it really didn't feel like I was too far away from home. And I was calling my parents, every day. They would try to get me to talk to them in Spanish every now and then, which was pretty funny. But I took classes over there. So I was taking 5 classes all in Spanish. So by the time I left there, I felt like I was near fluent. That was in 2016. I haven't really spoken Spanish as much since then, so I've kind of lost a little bit of it. I can still understand it pretty well, but speaking is a little bit more difficult now. But yeah, it was definitely a really fun experience. I would highly recommend that to anybody, whether it's like you're in high school just looking into an exchange program, or just in general just going to getting to go travel to a different part of the globe. We'll definitely highly recommend it. It gives you definitely opens up your perspective of the world and just introduces you to different cultures.
Yeah, I've heard very good things about Spain. I would love to visit one day. I've heard it's very beautiful, awesome culture, a great place to visit. So fingers crossed. Hopefully one day I'll be able to make my way over there. But in college, you started your playing career at UConn, and then you transferred to Vanderbilt. What was it that made you transfer from UConn to Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I got this question a lot. I have love for the place, but it was definitely a rough 4 years that I spent there. Coming in, I came in 2018, and across the board, offense and defense, we were a pretty young team. Program was going through a pretty massive rebuild at the time, so we were playing a lot of freshmen and sophomores that realistically should have redshirted, but we didn't have the depth for people to redshirt who should have been. So a lot of us were forced to play earlier than we normally would have. So it was kind of a struggle to be competitive with a lot of more weathered teams. So freshman year, sophomore year was pretty rough. We were one of the few teams that ended up not playing during that 2020 COVID year, which was kind of weird because it was the first time since I started playing football right after I turned 7 that I hadn't been like playing competitively, like truly competitively against other people in the fall. So I was like, we were practicing, and we had practices and lifts and stuff in the fall, but on the weekends we were just spectators. Like we were watching everybody play their game. So it was a really weird experience. But I mean, it gave us all a chance to kind of, recover from any injuries that we had from seasons prior, just get bigger, faster, and stronger for a year. But then 2021, season still didn't really go how anybody was hoping. There was it was a roller coaster. Our head coach ended up getting let go really early into the season. A lot of coaching staff changes at the end of the season. So by the time, that was my senior year, 2021. At the time that the season was over, there was just a lot of kind of negative energy surrounding the program. I knew I had, one season left to play. I have NFL aspirations, so I knew I was probably going to need to shift gears and just go try to look for a new home where I would get a better opportunity to go up against, better competition, just be in a better environment that was going to put me in a better place to, or better situation to kind of fulfill those dreams that I have. So that's this is a pretty long-winded answer, but that's what went into that decision.
All right. And, Jeremy, what is one area of your game that you feel you need to improve on the most moving forward?
So it's definitely not something I like to admit, but I definitely need to do a better job of playing the ball in the air in games. I feel like I've done a really good job displaying that I have that ability in practice, and I have gotten a decent number of pass breakups throughout my entire career. But there were definitely in this past season specifically, there were definitely opportunities for actual interceptions that I left on the field that I wish I could get back. So that's something that I've continued to work on since then. Just making sure that I get more consistent with that, playing the ball in there.
And this next question is just kind of a fun one that we like to ask. But what wide receiver would you most be excited to match up against in the NFL?
So I would say Jahan Dotson, rookie receiver for the Commanders. So fun fact, I actually am from the same area as him in Pennsylvania. I actually played against him in youth football when we were really small. I doubt that he remembers who I am, but it would just be cool, like for two of us to come from the same place, and then like me guarding him youth football, and then fast forward to the NFL guarding him again. That would just be a really cool experience. So.
I mean, I don't know about you, but it sounds to me like there's going to be a future jersey swap down the road,
Hey, maybe.
Unless you end up on the Commanders, then, that's kind of out the window. But, hey, there could be a jersey swap. You'll have to let them know.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
So, obviously talking about wide receiver who you'd like to match up against, but we got to ask, I mean, this is it's an interesting question because we're coming at you after the fact that Tom Brady has retired, and he was always all right. He was always the guy, the answer to which quarterback you want to pick off in the NFL.
95% of the time.
Yeah, and now that he's gone, I'm very curious to see what corners say now.
Like that was my answer. Like I don't. That's the one that I've been like waiting for. So when he like fake retired, like a year ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Came back, I was like, all right, like I still got a chance. I was not expecting him to do it again after this season. So when I saw that, I was kind of disappointed. So I would need to like think for a little bit about who my number two would be. But I mean, it would have been him.
Yeah. I mean, I remember us doing an interview last year with a prospect who, it was weird because Brady had already announced his fake retirement, and then he came back, and the answer was always Tom Brady. So it's very interesting, who that could be. I mean, we've gotten Lamar Jackson in the past, we've gotten Aaron Rodgers, but I'm curious to see if anybody says like Mahomes now or Jalen Hurts or what have you. So I don't know, just definitely an interesting question for sure.
And so this next question, we're really early in this process, but we just like to hear, how is this pre-draft process going for you so far? I know you mentioned you're down in Florida. Have you been training there? A lot of guys, they travel to different states, they train. Is there anything specific that you've been doing just to kind of get in the right headspace and prepare yourself for the draft coming up at the end of April?
Let's see. I guess I'll start at the beginning. So I got down to Florida. So I'm in Fort Myers right now. Got down here January 3rd. I've been training at this place called X3. Really great facility. The staff there is incredible. They've been doing a really good job with us this last month and a half. So yeah, I've been training here. I was actually at the Hula Bowl over in Orlando. It took place at UCF. That was second week of January. That was a really cool experience because we were practicing in front of a lot of NFL scouts. We'd have practice in the morning, go back to the hotel afterwards, and then as soon as you get back to the hotel, like your phone starts blowing up. Scouts are texting and emailing you like, hey, like come talk to me. They're just stationed at different places throughout the hotel. Then there was also like different cognitive testing and stuff that we were doing. It was definitely tiring for sure, but it was a really cool experience. So that's kind of how my process has been so far. Just been like training over here in Fort Myers, and then had my little Bull experience over in Orlando. I've talked to a couple scouts after leaving the Hula Bowl, or since then. Have talked to like a few scouts here and there, like had a couple more interviews. Hopefully I'll continue to get more of those interview opportunities in these next coming weeks, because my pro day isn't until March 28th. So I still have a lot of time for that too, to keep preparing for that. So yeah, basically from now until then, I'll just be continuing to train. But I've definitely been enjoying the process a lot. It's also nice to not be in classes right now, and just all I have to worry about is football. This is what I've been waiting for a while. Just focusing on training, and then that's pretty much it.
No, that's awesome. I'm sure the Hula Bowl experience was great. That's always a great time and everything, getting a chance to compete in that. And like you said, there's scouts at all of those college all-star games. There's scouts everywhere. I mean, you turn your head, wherever, there's always a scout. Speaking of which, scouts probably asked you this question before. I'd be surprised if they haven't. But if you had to choose, which one fits you? Do you hate to lose or love to win more?
This is actually the first time I've ever gotten this question. I'm not going to
Really?
Yeah. So I identify with both. I definitely hate to lose because that's just the competitor in me. However, I prefer to have my mindset be loving to win, because the way that I view, the way I view it, if you go into situations thinking, oh, like I'm not going to lose, then that's how losing happens, when you're thinking too much about not failing versus I'm going to succeed. It's bad if you're trying to run from failure, because when you try to run from failure, that's when you end up failing. You have a much higher chance of succeeding if you run towards success. Run towards something versus running away from something, in this case, is how I like to look at it. So
I definitely agree. I think that's a good way to look at it. I've thought about that question a lot, and I'm always on the love to win side. I find it very satisfying. But I also do hate to lose. So it is tough. It's kind of a toss-up of question. But just to close this out here, Jeremy, in your own words, who is Jeremy Lucien as a player, and who is he as a person?
So as a player, definitely, aggressive, physical, vocal, and you'll see me. You can see me out there on the field, having a good time, just chopping it up with my other teammates on the field and on the sidelines. But then off the field, it's kind of like a yin yang thing going on. So on the field, that's how I am in the field to play. Off the field, completely different. I'm pretty quiet. People call me pretty reserved. I am much more chill, much more relaxed. Kind of like a Clark Kent Superman kind of thing going on. Very unassuming when I'm away from football, but then once I'm on the field, I'm Superman kind of thing. But let's see. As a person, also, so fun fact, a hobby that I developed at the start of the pandemic in 2020 was cooking. So I've learned a lot of different recipes over the years. So if I had the means to, I could probably open up a restaurant right now. That's how many things I know how to make. That's something I could see myself pursuing after football is over. So however long my career lasts, we'll see what happens with that after. But
that was going to be my follow-up question there, because I mean, hey, you got a lot of different influences,
mm-hmm.
and obviously your time in Spain, and you said your background, like your Jamaican background. I mean, you could have a pretty awesome restaurant if you pursued that, for sure.
And actually, so my grandparents are coming up here this weekend, and I asked my grandma to finally teach me how to make oxtail for myself. So looking forward to that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And just, it's been a blast talking with you, getting to know you. And I'm glad, we're able to share this also with our, listener and viewer base. And, we're going to be pulling for you, man, no matter which team you go to. It'll be fun to follow your career.
I definitely appreciate this. Thanks you guys for having me on here.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and we definitely will keep in touch.